And it made me think again of 1997, early in the autumn term, when I went back to the dentist for the nth time in months and showed him the 5 new abscesses in my mouth that had come up over the last week. He looked in my mouth and he shook his head sadly and he said, "I'm afraid, Ros, I can't save your teeth any longer. You need to have them all out." I looked at him in horror. "All my teeth out? I'm only in my 50s. What will I do?" But there I was, the next Friday, in the chair, having all my teeth removed. Luckily, of course, he didn't leave me totally toothless to be embarrassed for weeks while my gums healed. These days, they fit you with a temporary set of very large false teeth. Large so that they don't press on the open cavities which are still bleeding and weeping from the surgery. So I walked home that day, so sad and in increasing pain as the anaesthetics wore off, with saliva and blood trickling from the corners of my mouth and these gigantic teeth click-clacking with every step. And that was the start of a very hard time. On that first Sunday afternoon, I was sitting in my little conservatory at the back of my house, trying to read a book and distract myself, when suddenly I became aware that there was a youth standing in my back garden on the lawn. He only looked about 12 or 13, and I knew that there was only one door in my house and it was on the side. He must have walked past that door to get down onto my lawn, and yet he'd never knocked. So I sat up and I said, "Can I help you?" But he just went, "Sorry, can I help you?" So I thought, go for it, Ros. I got up, went to the door, stepped outside, looked back down the path at him and said, "I said, can I help you?" So the penny started to click, and I looked the other way up the path, and there, across the road, sitting in a row on the wall opposite, there was 6 youths. I turned back. "Are they after you?" "Well, that's all right," I said. "I'm here now. I can look after you. Off you go then." But he clearly didn't believe this rather overweight elderly lady, because he just went. So I gave my attention to the young men. I turned the other way and I said, "All right, lads, you've had your fun now. Off you go and let this boy go home." And all I got in return was a series of gestures and a little abuse. And at that moment, round the corner on the other side, came the reinforcements, Jessie and Bill, ancient on Zimmer frames. Now, Bill was of old school, and he'd been in the army, and he was a huge believer that women should be treated with respect. And he started to lecture these young men in a very pompous way, and he got even more abuse and some of the foulest language I've ever heard. And suddenly I lost it. I thought, you haven't taught in some of the toughest schools in Yorkshire all these years, Ross, to listen to this stuff. Deal with it. And I charged down the path and I bellowed, "I said get!" And my teeth shut out, followed by copious amounts of spittle and blood. You have never seen a gang of lads run so fast in your life. As a friend said at a later point when I was telling the story, it was probably the first time they'd been bitten to death from 25 yards.